Let me start with something that took me decades to understand. There is no single best way to quit drinking. If there were, we would have solved this problem by now. Instead, what we have are multiple pathways, each built on a different idea of what alcohol is and what recovery requires. Some approaches say this is a disease. Some say it's a learned behavior. Some say it's due to trauma. Others say it's simply a choice. And depending on which of those you believe, a completely different solution will make sense. So today, I want to walk you through 12 of the most common ways people actually get sober. Not from theory, but from real-world use, and the science when we have it behind why they work. Let's start with the one nobody talks about. The fact is, most people who stop drinking do it on their own. No meetings, no therapy, no medication. Something triggered a need to change their lives. A fundamental problem like a health scare, a relationship ending, or a shift in identity. Or simply getting older and realizing that their current life no longer is working. The rationale here is straightforward. Behavior changes when the cost outweighs the reward. And over time, for many people, alcohol simply stops delivering what it once did. The data supports this more than most people realize. A majority of people who resolve alcohol problems never enter formal treatment. Now here's an important qualifier. This tends to happen more often in people with less severe dependence. But the takeaway is this. Recovery is not always due to a program. Sometimes it's a decision that becomes a new life. Alcoholics Anonymous is the most recognizable path I'll discuss. It views alcoholism as a chronic condition marked by loss of control and offers a solution based on abstinence, community, and personal transformation. The steps of AA guide individuals through self-examination, accountability, and making amends. But arguably, the real engine of AA is not the steps, it's the people. It's walking into a room and realizing you're not alone. It's hearing your story come out of somebody else's mouth. And it's being held accountable over time. The science backing AA is stronger than many assume. Large reviews show Alcoholics Anonymous often performs as well or better than other treatment programs for sustained abstinence. The mechanism appears simple. Connection replaces isolation, structure replaces chaos, and identity shifts from a drinker to a person in recovery. Smart recovery takes a very different position. It assumes alcohol use is not something you surrender to, but something you learn to manage. It's built on cognitive behavioral principles. You learn to identify triggers, challenge distorted thinking, and develop tools to handle cravings. There is no higher power, no sponsor, and no requirement to identify as an alcoholic. Instead, the emphasis is on self-efficacy. The evidence specific to SMART is still developing. There have been fewer randomized controlled trials compared to AA, but the components it uses are strongly supported in addiction science. So SMART recovery is essentially delivering proven psychological tools in a group format. For people who want a rational, skills-based approach, this can be a strong fit. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, takes that idea even deeper. It views drinking as part of a loop: trigger, thought, behavior, reward. If you interrupt that loop, you can change the outcome. Instead of just saying don't drink, CBT teaches you what to do when the urge hits. You recognize patterns, build coping strategies, rehearse responses, and plan for high-risk situations. This is one of the most studied approaches in addiction treatment. It consistently improves outcomes, especially when combined with other supports. It's structured, practical, and gives people something they've often never had before, a way to think clearly when everything usually falls apart. Now we move into biology. Medication-assisted treatment starts with the idea that part of this problem is neurochemical, and medications like naltrexone, which reduce the rewarding effects of alcohol, can help. Additionally, acamprosate helps stabilize brain function after quitting. Disulfiram creates a deterrent by making drinking unpleasant. The goal is not to cure alcoholism, but to reduce cravings so behavioral changes become possible, and the medications are thought to help this. The evidence shows modest but meaningful improvements, especially when combined with other therapies. And yet, these medications are rarely used. This is partially due to stigma, partially due to misunderstanding, but mostly because they have less robust and inconsistent support in the medical literature. Rehab programs take a different approach. They change the environment. Instead of trying to get you sober in your normal life, they remove you from it. You enter a structured setting. Your time is scheduled. Access to alcohol is eliminated. Your focus becomes recovery. These programs combine therapy, group work, education, and sometimes medication. Their strength is intensity, and you are not alone. You are immersed, but recovery does not end when the program ends. Outcomes are better when care continues afterwards. LifeRing is a secular peer support group. It removes spirituality and focuses on strengthening what it calls the sober self. Meetings are conversational. There are no steps, no required sponsors. The focus is practical problem solving and mutual support. Research suggests secular peer groups can be as effective as 12-step approaches for those committed to abstinence. The tone is different. Less surrender, more construction. Secular Organizations for Sobriety, SOS, takes an even simpler approach. Sobriety is the highest priority. No spirituality, no steps, just a clear decision not to drink. Meetings reinforce that decision. The philosophy is minimal but intentional. The evidence is more limited, but the mechanism is straightforward. Clarity, repetition, and responsibility. For some people, that simplicity is exactly what works. Women for Sobriety focuses on emotional growth and identity rebuilding. It emphasizes self-esteem, positive thinking, and personal responsibility in a constructive way. The rationale is that many women drink in response to emotional pain and internalized shame. Recovery requires rebuilding how they see themselves. Studies suggest women-specific programs can be as effective as other approaches when encouragement is strong. It addresses a dimension often overlooked, identity and self-worth. Moderation management challenges the idea that everyone must quit completely. It focuses on reducing drinking through limits, tracking, and intentional behavior. The evidence shows moderation can work for individuals with less severe alcohol problems, but there is a clear limitation. For those who lose control once they start drinking, moderation often fails. So this is not universal, it is selective. Trauma-informed therapy asks a different question, not how do we stop drinking, but why is drinking necessary? For many, alcohol is self-medication for trauma, anxiety, or emotional pain. This approach treats the underlying issue. Through structured therapies, the goal is to reduce the need for alcohol. The evidence supports integrated treatment addressing both trauma and substance use together. But treating trauma alone does not guarantee sobriety. This is not either or, it is both. Finally, digital and telehealth recovery. Apps, online therapy, remote care. The idea is simple. Make recovery accessible anywhere, anytime. These programs combine CBT tools, coaching, and sometimes medication. Research shows meaningful improvements when people consistently engage. The advantage is access. The limitation is engagement, because tools only work if they are used. So what do we make of all this? 12 methods, 12 different assumptions. And none of them work for everyone, because they are not solving the same problem. Some treat behavior, some treat biology, some treat identity, and some treat pain. The mistake is choosing a method that does not align with your idea of reality. If you think this is a willpower issue, you look for discipline. If you think it is biology, you look for medication. If you think it is spiritual, you look for transformation. The key is not finding the best method. It is finding the method that explains your experience. Because when the model fits, the solution stops feeling forced and starts feeling inevitable. Thanks for watching. I'm Dr. Donald Crowe. Please subscribe, like, and comment below. And check out this next video where I talk about the red flags that suggest your drinking has crossed the line. I'll see you in the next one.